is what is controlling social media.
Right.
Why wouldn't you ask AI how to break its own algorithm? We actually have a very successful ad going on right now for first-time home buyers that's generated over 500 leads for us.
Okay.
Just as the same as when a commercial pops on the TV and it says something and you're like, ooh, you turn your head. If that first sentence isn't good enough, you're probably not going to get through.
So let's say I'm solo agent. What's maybe the one or two things that I have to do to be successful?
I recently did a presentation on how to market yourself without spending a dime. Because you don't necessarily want to invest that money right away, or you don't want to only invest money, you want to figure out other ways. And there were 3 really big things.
Welcome to the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Today, my guest is Antonia DePace from the Q&U team at Compass Real Estate. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay, so I always start off shows by asking, my guests to tell their story. And you do marketing for the Q&U team.
Yeah.
So how did you get started in marketing and real estate marketing?
Yeah, so marketing, there's a 2-part answer to this question. I actually started with a background in journalism. I've been a part of the greater Philadelphia community for quite some time. In addition to growing up here, I was previously editor-in-chief at Philadelphia Style magazine, where I often worked with real estate agents and industry leaders of that sort. I went to Nantucket for a quick hiatus for a publication over there, had my baby boy in May, almost a year, and wanted to look for something new. I had really felt like I had climbed the ladder. In journalism, there's a saying that you can go from journalism to marketing, but you can't do the opposite.
Right.
And I had learned a lot about the Philadelphia community, and I was looking to get into marketing. Real estate, on the flip side, my husband and I we flipped homes on the side. So I was always interested in real estate, interior design, and kind of had that as a second world.
Right.
So combining those 2 interests really just came together as I started this new chapter of my life and this new career.
Okay, great. So not most, but a lot of real estate agents watch the show.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people get a little bit nervous when you talk about social media. What should I do? What shouldn't I do? What works? What shouldn't I do? What doesn't work? All that. And then also, hey, you could spend a ton of money and get no results.
Yep.
And one of the biggest things that I find is people try to do too many things as opposed to do the 1 or 2 things that you're really good at and that will actually work. Right. So, first question I have for you. What are some of the things that you're doing for your team, marketing wise, that you see is moving the needle, that's actually working?
Yeah, social media specific or in general?
In general, anything.
Yeah, well, on the general side, and then we can go into social media, we're doing a lot of lead magnets, especially with a big focus on first-time home buying.
Okay, what's a lead magnet?
So we use a lot of Facebook ads to help generate people who are interested in buying their first homes, and they give us their information. It pops into our system, and then we're able to assign those leads out to our agents. So that's been a large marketing effort for us. We actually have a very successful ad going on right now for first-time home buyers that's generated over 500 leads for us.
Oh, well, let me ask that, because
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
But when you say something that's interesting and like bells go off.
Yeah.
So a lead magnet would be what? Would you say, like in an ad, what would that look like? Saying, hey, are you thinking about buying a house? And you would give them like one little tip or one little nugget so they respond?
Yeah, so on meta ads, there's different sections, right? You of course need your media where you would have that attention grabbing question, verbiage, or maybe it's a video. For us, with our first time home buying ad, we have attention grabbing verbiage. I'm spacing on exactly what it says in this moment.
Right.
And then we do have like some details on the side about the home that we're kind of marketing around that with Turn the Key. So like 2 to 3 bedrooms, 10-year tax abatement, 1-year builder warranty, new construction.
Right.
Then there's always primary text, which is what shows up above the media. And then it has the actual media square. And then below that, there's a little description. The primary text is usually something quick, snappy. Are you a first-time home buyer? Do you want to make that first move?
Right.
It's that question that everyone's like, yes, yes, I want that right now.
So then let me ask this then. So let's say I'm a solo agent. I'm not a professional, and I'm the perfect example. I know nothing about social media. I'm like horrible with it. So if you're an individual, what would be an example, like a post that you could do? Like, would it be just post in a house and you're saying, what's holding you back,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like just something quick like that. So it would generate conversation or.
Exactly. It generates a conversation. It gets someone's attention. It grabs that attention. It's the lead, right?
Right.
You have to have that lead, just as the same as when a commercial pops on the TV and maybe it says something and you're like, oh, you turn your head, you want to listen, or you're reading an article. That first sentence is what draws you in to read the rest. If that first sentence isn't good enough, you're probably not going to get through most of it.
Now, let me ask you this. Are you using like some AI and some SEO, type of catchphrase thing to say, hey, this tests well? Is that part of it as well? Or?
Yeah, and it was actually, prior to the real estate symposium when I met you, we were doing it more so off of our own knowledge and our own research and understanding our own audience. But now I'm a big believer, someone had said it during the symposium, why don't you use AI to your advantage if AI is what is controlling social media?
Right.
So why wouldn't you ask AI how to break its own algorithm?
Right.
You don't think about it in that way, but as soon as you hear it, it makes sense.
Right.
So you can ask it for some primary text ideas and then obviously cater it according to what you want it specifically to be. Right now, you can also tell it to generate ads
Right.
off of Canva. There's a lot of opportunity to use AI to help to break that algorithm and have your content see the most people on the meta ad side,
Right.
and also on social media.
Right. So, and this is my understanding. Once again, my understanding is I know nothing. That I'm the first one to come out here and say that. I try having people like you. Hey, what should I be doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, if AI is controlling, the Facebook, the back workings of it. AI would know better how to generate or what's going to trigger the most response
Than anybody else.
and grades it out, saying, hey, this is like a 98% or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting. I don't know how to do it, but it's very, very interesting.
It's tests and, there's successes and there's failures. It's all about testing,
Right.
especially on the ad front for a lead magnet. There's other types of lead magnets that you can do, right? So if we were looking to gain more sellers, we have like the tool on our website where you can calculate your home value. That in turn could technically give us the little ding that so-and-so is looking to sell their home. They just put in their information and then we reach out.
Right.
And we see if they're interested, because clearly they were interested enough to see what their home value was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which is true, because I don't know. I went to one of your events, whatever,
Yeah.
and now you got my email
Yep.
and information. And yes, I will get, I think, once a month
Yep.
saying, you want to know what your house is worth, and I went on there. I was like, oh, what's my house worth?
Especially right now.
Sure. So I actually did it. So that's super smart, because everybody wants, even if you're not thinking about selling, you still want to know what it's worth. And and who knows? And, if you create that dialogue, and once again, it's all about having a conversation,
Right.
being in front, staying in front. So when you are ready, you move forward.
Exactly.
Okay. So, a question. So let's say I'm, once again, a solo agent. I'm not a part of a big team, because if you're a part of a big team, you have people or the lead people that, they're doing a lot of the stuff for you. So, but if I'm a solo agent, what's like maybe the one or two things that I have to do to be successful, like minimum, and not 100 things, like maybe the one or two, what's your thoughts as far as that?
I recently did a presentation. We do marketing lunch and learns once a month at the Q&U team for our agents. And I recently did a presentation on how to market yourself without spending a dime.
Right.
Because that's, you don't necessarily want to invest that money right away, or you don't want to only invest money. You want to figure out other ways. And there were really three big things on that. One is, of course, social media. I'm an avid believer you need to be on social media at this point. It's a very competitive market. You want to be a neighborhood expert. You want
Right.
to portray yourself as that neighborhood expert to your followers and beyond. And then networking. There is nothing wrong with an old-fashioned networking event, face-to-face. Getting yourself out there, being a part of the community. You see that there's going to be a festival on Main Street. Okay, go.
Last weekend there was.
Yeah, there you go. Like, you should be there. You should be there talking to people.
Right.
You want people to walk by and see your face and recognize it, or you want to be introducing yourself to everyone and getting to know their story, getting to know what they're up to in a genuine way, not in a pushy, salesy way. I genuinely think that you need to have an interest in people to be successful in real estate, especially.
Right. It's you're dealing with people, so it's a people thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and that was one of my questions. Like, what is like one of the old school marketing things that you're doing, still doing that is successful, and that would just be networking, going out there.
Yeah, having events. Since I've come onto the team, we started the Coffee and Conversations event that you came to, and then we do it once a month.
Right.
And that is truly supposed to be a way for our team, for other teams, individual agents to come and strategize and network and gain a better understanding of what other real estate professionals are doing or what they're thinking. And it's important. You should be able to do that because you don't know who you're going to connect with. Right. You don't know what kind of relationships are going to bud from that. It goes from industry events like that to getting involved in public, like the magazine communities. Right. Then you're going to be invited to other events that are on a grander scale with more than just real estate and professionals. You'll have hospitality, you'll have beauty, you'll have anything and everything under the sun that you'll be able to network with. I mean, put yourself in a room with 300 people.
Right.
You're going to make friends and you're going to make relationships and you're going to get clients from that. Honestly, you're going to be known better as an agent in the area.
Okay. So I have one more question, and then if you want to add anything to it. If you're a little bit nervous because you're super new to social media, or you just don't feel comfortable, or you're shy, where would you go to learn, how to do things, how to navigate? Would it be as simple as just going on YouTube and saying, how do I do this? Or, what are your thoughts?
If you need to learn the back end of social media, right? If you need to make like your profile business versus personal, those kinds of things, I think you could benefit from from like YouTube.
Right.
Those are easy things to look up. There's probably plenty of blogs about it as well. When it comes to the actual content and not knowing where to start, again, going back to AI, you can prompt it. You can say, I'm a real estate agent in the Philadelphia area. I live in X neighborhood and I want my focus to be this.
Right.
This is my audience. This is the kind of agent I want to be. Can you generate a 30-day posting schedule with ideal posting times, prompts, clip ideas, and hashtags that will help me to reach my audience and grow my following? Hit enter. It'll do it for you.
Right.
And that's simple. That's the simple way. And you don't have to go like fully off of that, but it gives you a start. And I feel like that's the most overwhelming part when you're brand new, especially with social media, is where do I start? Where do I begin? The rest kind of comes into place and you'll gain your confidence from there.
And with AI, the most important thing is give as much description as humanly possible.
Yes.
Like say, hey, I am a realtor. I'm targeting this area. This is who I am. This is who I'm looking for. Yep. All that kind of stuff. Because that's super, super important. With AI being able to understand, what you're looking for, and then you can always just elaborate. Say no. You add on to it.
Right, you kind of want more of this, more of that. The other piece of advice I would say is to follow agents who you look up to, who you want to be more like. There's plenty of them out there. There's the huge big names that we all know, and then there's the local big names, and then there's smaller agents who are just doing their thing and they're creating really good content. If you find those and you follow them, I mean, that gives you inspiration right there to see the types of videos and content that they're creating that you can do too.
Right. Okay. So before we wrap everything up, is there anything else, a question I should have asked, anything that you think that, people could take away, from marketing / social media or anything just in general?
Ooh, that is a hard one. And I always used to ask that when I was an editor. And now I understand being put on the spot with that. No, I mean, I would just say that to not be afraid of trying things. Marketing's all about trying things and about testing and acknowledging failure and learning from it, and then celebrating successes. There are plenty of things that Eli and I have tried on the back end with marketing that just didn't pan out for one way or the other. But then you learn from it, you learn why, and then you apply that to the next attempt of whatever type of marketing plan you're going to do. That's very important, I think, to mention, because again, it can be very overwhelming and very intimidating, especially if you're more of like a logistics person. Like for me, I'm very much more of a creative. The logistics really it's not my cup of tea, except for the logistics that you have to figure out, of course, with marketing to make sure things are working. The other thing, I guess, would be to research all the technology. There's more than social media when it comes to marketing. There's more than being out there in person. I mean, there's the website platform. There's email platforms to figure out how you're going to do your marketing emails and your action plans to stay on top and communicate. You have to do your research to see what's going to work best for you based on what you need. We personally use Follow Up Boss, but we've also looked into other platforms like Go High Level. There's also always Kit. So there's a lot of different options that can cater to each individual agent based on their goals.
Okay. Now you work with the Q&U team. So if somebody wanted to find out more about the Q&U team,
yes.
How would they do that?
They can go to qnuteam.com. You can also reach out to me at Antonia@qnuteam.com.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were at the Real Estate Symposium, and that's where I met you, and we just started having a conversation, and it's been a couple months, but we're saying, hey, we got to get together because I think this would be good information to talk about, especially since I know nothing. I think I've established that.
But you're learning, and that's what matters. That's what matters.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Well, that's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe. Super important. I just hit 20,000 subscribers. Just hit 20,000. I'm going to be doing a giveaway when I hit 30,000 subscribers. So really help me out. Do some likes. Really helps the algorithm. At least that's what I'm told, right?
Yeah.
And leave me a comment. Tell me some show topics you'd like me to cover in the future. Remember, this show is everything real estate, no limits. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you.